Hello, hello, my brothers and sisters. This is Garrett Bake, your brother in arms, and welcome to another episode of The Tactical Businessman. Today, we have another special guest coming to us live all the way from Perth, Australia. That's right, the West Side, for those of you that don't know. This is Kim Barrett. Kim Barrett is an online marketer. He's been in the space for 5 years. He runs a company called Your Social Voice. It's based out of Perth. And I asked Kim to tell me, like, what is it that you do? And he narrowed it down to one sentence, which is a pretty powerful sentence. I help experts and thought leaders accelerate their leads online. Boom. Like, that's it. And if you're in the digital space in any way, shape, or form, this is a man you're going to want to listen to. So without further delay, I'd like to introduce you to Kim Barrett.
Thank you so much for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you for being here. It's awesome how we connected, which was literally off of a post in a group on social media, but here we are. So Kim, kind of tell everybody a little bit about you, your background, how it was that you even got into this space.
Yeah, well, like when you said marketing for 5 years, actually like 15 years ago is when I first started marketing. So I'm only 30, so I was 15 years old. So I've always had interest for things online. My dad was always like one of those tech dads who always wanted the new gadgets and things. So he got us on computers from a very young age and on the internet. And I started doing a lot of things, I would say, like entrepreneurially, or like thinking of wanting to be a business person at the time. So when I was young, I would buy and sell things at school. I would probably somewhat illegally, so please no one dob me in, but like I would burn a copy of Pokemon when it first came out onto a floppy disk, and I'd take it to school and I would sell all the floppy disks for like $2, get all my lunch money made up. So it was pretty fun times. But then like fast forwarding that to when I was 15 years old, I was a moderator on a forum. So obviously we didn't really have anything like Facebook where we would have groups and whatnot. So I was on a forum for, sounds a little bit random, but tropical fish. So I used to breed and sell tropical fish back in the day. Very cool. And what we did was we would have a forum, and there's all these running costs, and it was quite expensive at the time. It's not really as cheap as it is now to run websites. So they said, look, we need to make about $40,000 to keep our site up, running, facilitate everything that we need to do as well, like what we've promised, like competitions, prizes for people that are on there as well. And I said, okay, I was 15, never met these guys before. They're like, Kim, can you help us? I'm like, sure. What do we like? What are we going to do? And then they're like, well, we have advertising space. Like we have like a banner at the top that we can fit probably 10 different businesses across the top. And I was like, okay, so we need to get businesses to go on there. Like, yeah. I was like, have we got any at the moment? I said, no. I was like, all right, that's good. Good start. How much does it cost for us to put someone there? They're like, well, we're going to sell it. We're looking for around about like $4,000 in either money or prizes that we can use throughout the year. And then I was like, okay, so we need 10 people. We need to make basically $40,000. Yeah. I was like, why would they give us money? And they're like, oh, good question. Well, we have all the people that they want coming here, right? They showed me the back of our website, the analytics. So I just took a screenshot of that, and I just went online and looked at every single place in Australia that had or sold anything to do with fish. So I was like, got them all, BCC'd them all into one big email. And it was the worst probably email, the worst and best email ever. I was like, hey, didn't put their name there because it was BCC, so I was sending it to like 100 people. I was like, we have, I'm a moderator of this forum. This is a screenshot of our stats. We are looking for 10 people. I didn't know that I was using scarcity or any of these marketing strategies. Right. We have 10 spots available. We're looking for $4,000 for a year of advertising on here. We can only work with the first 10 people that respond. And then I just sent them a PayPal link, and I was like, here's a link to PayPal. If you want to take advantage of it, otherwise, it'll probably close very soon. So this was like probably 1 o'clock in the morning, midnight, when I had to go to school the next day. So I just fired this email off and then went to bed, woke up, and I had a message from one of the guys that owned the forum in the morning. And he's like, Kim, what did you do? And I was like, oh, did I not BCC? And did someone respond and get angry or something? Or what happened? He's like, no, we've got $40,000 of money in our PayPal account that came through overnight from the email that you sent. I was like, that's good, right? And he's like, yeah. He's like, basically now we're sorted, we're good, everything's taken care of. And it was like, I think it was a bit under 40, but there was like some emails about the products that they were going to give us and whatnot as well. So I was like, great, this is easy. I was like, oh, you can make money on the internet. Like, this is great. And so that was kind of my first foray. And ever since then, I always looked at different ways on how you could promote things, like how can you get people's attention and provide it to other people online.
That's a beautiful thing. Like, if you're listening right now, think about this for a second. Out of necessity and for no other reason, he literally took what was needed, which was $40,000, and he crafted a way to make it happen. Sometimes we make business too complicated. Sometimes we make life too complicated. Like, think about your relationship with your wife and how complicated you make it when really all she wants is flowers and to be dated regularly. Like, this is literally what Kim did. What is it that we need? We need at least 10 advertisers at $4,000. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to say, here's what we have available. Would you like to? And overnight, literally overnight, you got the $40,000. That is a beautiful thing. So that got your taste buds wet. That got you excited about the digital marketing space. And where did it go from there?
Well, I mean, so because then I started looking at it, I was like, okay, I didn't know what I did. I was like, I did marketing and advertising. That's what it was. So I did go to start off with the traditional route where I was like, well, maybe I should then study this at school, at university, and go, like, that's the path that I was told is the right answer. So I was like, okay, well, let me do this, go through university and do it. But at the same time, I started a few of my own businesses on the side to test these things out. So I had like a whole bunch of random things that I would do. So like one was perfume. So I would have like perfumes and things like that. I would get them from a wholesaler. I would buy them. I marketed them out. I sold them. Then I had a supplement company with my brother. We did the same thing. We brought in supplements, like protein powders and things like that. Sold them online. But the whole time I thought that the goal was to be a businessman, was to be in someone else's business, be an international business person flying around, management consultant or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then around the time when like Facebook ads really started to take off, I started seeing there's companies that are doing this social media management. They're doing Facebook advertising. They're helping people bring new business in from online. And I was like, I never had seen or heard or understood that was even a possibility. Like I knew there was big advertising companies that sold TV space, radio space and things like that. But I didn't really understand that actually translated to the online world as well. So once I saw that, that's when I really started going heavy on learning, understanding, and then starting to try and attract clients to help me understand better how I could, turn that into a business.
Very cool. And I was thinking of the third word. I can't think of it. Floppy disks, fish, and then I don't know. The third, we got to think of something. Like that's a cool story. It really is. So let me ask you. I spent a lot of time on the podcast talking about different experiences that we as businessmen have, and not necessarily like the good stuff, right? We just had it's a really cool story and very unique, right? But what do you think along your journey of being a businessman has been your biggest struggle?
It's a good question. I mean, do you mean do you mean a struggle overall, or do you mean a specific struggle which was painful at the time for me to go through?
Whichever one you want. It could be both. And it doesn't actually have to be in business either. A lot of businessmen we're like, oh, well, sales is my biggest problem or marketing, but it could have been marriage or it could have been your body. You know what I mean? It's kind of open to you. Like what was your biggest struggle?
Well, I'll share one which kind of covers both. It was business, but then it also kind of translated across to the personal world, if you will. So at the time, I didn't really have a team. Right. So I was pretty much myself, and like I had someone helping me with a few graphics and someone trying to do a few sales calls for me here and there, but it was very sporadic. So I'd done I was doing a lot of hard work all by myself, and I was doing it. So first lesson is get good people around you, but I was working really hard, and I got this big deal come through. It was the biggest one of my business so far, which was, I think it was about $7,000 a month, Australian. So, probably like 5,500, 6,000 US. And I was like, this is like tremendous. This is really cool. But and they told me what they were expecting, and I was like, yeah, that should be fine. And I jumped in and started looking at it, and I was like, oh, I have got like what the level of support that they want and need and the scale that they're going for here is insane. So they had like a website that was listed on the stock exchange in Australia. It had like hundreds of thousands of products, all this sort of stuff. And they're like, yeah, we just need to drive our revenue from here to like here. We want you to be responsible for like 200 grand per month in additional revenue. So you have to keep us where we are, but you have to add 200 grand a month. And I was like, okay. So I started for the first, I think it was like, I did just under the first month. So like 3.5, 4 weeks. And I was going through and I was up all night and I was doing, I think in that week I did like nearly like 2,000 ads or something ridiculous. Like so many ads in that time. And I was just noticing, I was getting stressed, overwhelmed. This was just before Christmas, probably in the couple of weeks leading up to it. And I started getting like stress marks kind of like on my hands. So like on my hands, I started getting almost like little mini blisters. And it's because like my hands do a weird thing sometimes. If it gets really hot or if I get super stressed, I'll get like these little mini, not blisters, but like the skin, like it's almost the skin's like falling off, right? Wow. Comes apart. And that was from stress. I never had that before. And I was like, what the hell, number one, is going on with my hands? And like number two, I felt like I was, like losing hair or sleep, and it was not very good times. And I was like, well, so that like it translated across and obviously to my personal world, and my girlfriend, she's like, what's going on? Like you're working pretty hard and you're stressed and overwhelmed. I was like, this one client needs all this stuff. And then I remember, and like the second lesson from that is like I reached out to one of my mentors and I was like, hey, like this is happening. He's like, why don't you just fire them? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, you can just fire your client, like just get rid of them. And I was like, what? I know that I can be fired, but I can fire them. And he's like, yeah, well, if it causes you stress and pressure and it's not a pleasure to work with them, why don't you just tell them, hey, sorry, it's not working out. And then you get rid of it. I was like, this is so foreign to me. I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, I do it all the time. If a client comes through and we don't work out, it's like, cool, we just part ways. And I was like, okay. So then he sent me a video of Jay Abraham, obviously great business marketing mind of this century. And he sent me this video of him. He talked about the strategy of preeminence. So I said, okay, cool. I don't want to just send these guys and say, you're fired. Like I want to make sure that I give them the best result possible, because I did what I thought could be a good job, but I know someone could do better. So then I looked out and found out because I was connected to a lot of marketing people. I was like, who could give them a better result than me that is specific to them, is going to help them scale tremendously. And then I was like, okay, cool. I found the best person. So I sent them I think it was a letter, but like attached to an email. And I was like, hey, just letting you know that our term finishes this week. I will not be renewing purely because I don't think I can give you the best outcome possible. And I was like, but I don't want to leave you in the lurch. I know Christmas, New Year's is busy time. So I want to introduce you to this person who is the absolute top specifically for this niche. And he's going to be able to do a better job. And then I think it was like the CEO or one of the guys called me. And he's like, why should we let you stop working for us? And I was like, are you trying to sell me on why I have to stay and do work with you? And I was like, this is the weirdest conversation I've ever had. I was like, normally it's like why I should sell you and why you should work with me. He's like, why should we let you stop doing work for us, basically? And I was like, look, this is a situation. This person's going to be better. They're going to accelerate you faster. So let me hand you over to them. And sure, like obviously $7,000 a month is pretty good, especially when it's just you in the business and I had a couple other clients too. But I was like, all right, like the pain that this is causing me is not worth the money in any way, shape or form. So by doing that, it's like I got rid of the stress and pressure, especially just before Christmas, because I was like, that was a relief. And then on the other side of things was that I got to give them someone who's going to do an even better job for them than I was going to do. So they were going to be happy. I was going to be happy. It was a win-win.
That's a pretty powerful lesson, especially for you. If you're starting in this world of business, or you're trying to scale, or wherever it is that you're at, think about that for a minute. The power of saying no. We feel obligated sometimes to say yes to everyone. And the truth is, everyone is not for us, and you're not for everyone. It's not a bad thing. So what Kim did is he took this bad situation that was literally physically causing him pain, which, was the stress related to this contract, and said, I'm going to make the best of it. The best of it being, I'm not going to leave them high and dry, but I'm also not going to continue with them. What is that? That is, find somebody who's the best and send them that way. So what was the result of that, that relationship that you built with this other marketer?
So, I mean, the other marketer was tremendously happy. It was funny because they're quite a big name, and they probably get people message them all the time. And I was like, hey, I have someone that I'm working with in the space, and I wanted to send them to you. And it took him 5-10 hours before I got a response because of the time difference. He was in the US, and he's like, yeah, look, we only work with clients who are doing minimum of $2 million per year and this and this and this. I was like, that's cool. They do $26 million a year, and this is their spend and this is their management fee they're willing to pay. He's like, all right, we got a good one. Because, a lot of the time people are like, I've got a referral for you. It's like, they have no money, they can't do anything, but I've got a referral for you. So this one was a perfect candidate. So I ended up going to one of his events a couple of years later, and have a good chat with him. So we built a good relationship there as well. And then, I didn't I was like, I don't want a referral fee. I don't want anything. It's I want you guys just to do a great job for them, and happy days.
This is a very interesting idea. And for those of you who are afraid of doing this or haven't even contemplated it, there's something about just giving something away for free and not expecting anything in return that actually benefits you in the long run. And I had a conversation with a client of mine actually today, and we talked about the same thing. In order for you to become the person that you want to become, you have to get rid of the things that aren't serving you or that are in the way. Now, imagine if you would have stayed with that client, would you be where you are today?
Oh, no, there's probably 1 month later, I would have crashed and burned or something like that would have happened. Because I couldn't work, you can't work 26 hours a day. It's just impossible.
So it's addition by subtraction is what it is. And that's a beautiful thing. So wherever it is that you are right now and you feel like you're struggling, it's time to examine, where is it that you're struggling? And is this something that's ultimately going to serve you or not? Because if it's not, then you have to learn to say no and keep on that path. Kim and I were having a conversation prior to this recording, and he was asking me where I was at, and I was telling him the exact same thing. I'm pushing this big fat reset button. Why? Because I'd started to go down a path that wasn't actually going to take me to where I wanted to go. And a lot of you run into this. And it's not just once, it's not just twice, it happens many times. Kim was lucky enough to have this experience when he was first starting, which I'm sure since then has allowed you to say no more often.
Yeah, and I think that the one other thing that you touched on there, I think, and I'm sure that you probably have as well, though, is having the support community and people around you. Because if you generally speaking, there's no problem that any of us face unless we're probably Elon Musk trying to put people on Mars, right? That someone hasn't overcome before, especially as business people. Right. So if you're a business person, it's if you don't have a coach or a mentor or someone in your corner, it's foolish in my eyes. Not because you need to have one, but it's if you just have one question like that I could ask to my mentor and go, hey, what should I do about this? That saved me. Probably crashed probably my entire company, really. So by leveraging other people's experiences, if you listen to this podcast, you get to leverage not only Jairus, but every single person he has on there. You get to leverage their experiences. It shortcuts your learning curve and makes it easier. But sometimes you have a question you might be able to ask to Garrett, and you'll be like, okay, cool. What is the answer to this? And it's well, cool. These people face this. This is what they did about it. Or yes, you've gone down a path that is not right now. Maybe you should do this. Is what I did. I had to reset and go on a new path to get there. And they're oh, wow, cool. Now that makes sense to me. I should just do that.
That's beautiful. I love that you said that. And it's absolutely true because just like Kim was talking about him and having mentors, which I'm sure he still has to this day, I'm the exact same way. I need people to help me get to where it is that I want to go so that when the difficult situations happen, like it was for you, it's a phone call away. This is what I'm facing. What do I do? Mm. And this strategy that you never would have figured out on your own is presented to you, and it changes everything. So it's a beautiful thing. Now, we've gone through a little bit about your relationship with this marketing world as far as growing. And it's interesting that the conversation is already kind of going there, but I want to make it a little more formal. If someone is either starting in this digital space, thinking about starting this space, new in this space, trying to scale in this space, you as a successful online entrepreneur now, what are 2 or 3 tips or strategies that you would give, let's say, to a young Kim starting out?
The biggest one is definitely to start off with is to get around people doing the same thing, and like whether it's an event, whether it's a community online, but ideally in person, because it can be, especially when it's digital, it's like, oh cool, I'm living my laptop lifestyle from anywhere. It actually can get super lonely, right? So if you're just sitting at home in your spare bedroom just banging things out, it can be lonely. So I highly recommend, and it's something that I did and I probably could have done much more to start off with, which is getting to events, getting around people who are doing a similar thing, not because you're even going to expect to make money from it or get business from it, but just to be around peers who are doing a similar thing. It reminds you, okay, cool, this is like the real outcome of what we're doing. It's all these people going out there helping people, making a difference. Because sometimes you can get distracted and lost from that when you're just sitting in front of a computer all day. Like, it's very easy to go, like, to sometimes look back and like, for the last 6 months, I've just sat in my spare bedroom and typed. Now I have RSI or whatever it might be, right? So it's like, it's not always that glamorous. But I think number one is definitely doing that, and just getting out to connect with people, real people. I think is super important. That would be my number one kind of like biggest tip or feedback for people if they're starting out. Number two is to, like, if you're starting versus scaling, slightly different. But if you're just starting, I highly recommend working for free. Like, working for free to get experience up, because a lot of people these days will go through, they'll do a Facebook ads training, they'll do a Google ads training or something like that. Then they'll go and want to try and charge a local business like $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month. And it's like, if you don't, like, again, looking at that preeminence feedback, it's like, if you don't have the case studies, the testimonials, put in a little bit of sweat equity, go and do some work for someone. Like, say to a business, cool, I'll do this for you for free so that I can help you and I can get results. And, you know, you just pay for the ad spend, I'll do all the work. And then in return, I'd love a testimonial. And, you know, if you want to keep working with me afterwards, that's cool. Otherwise, you can keep all the work that I do. So, like, even if I launch a new niche or a new campaign now, I will still do that. Like, at the moment, I'm working with the guy who's doing stuff for dentists. And I was like, cool, do the first ones for free. Like, I'm coaching one. I was like, do the first ones for free. They can pay the ad spend, get some case studies, testimonials, experience, because he hasn't run it formally for people before. So I was like, don't go, like, I could teach you how to sell and to get in front of them and close them for $2,000, $3,000 a month, but that's not going to be in the best interest of you right now. We want to get results so we can show and help them. So I think a lot in the digital marketing, the coaching, all those sorts of spaces, get real world experience and feedback and results, then go and take it out to the marketplace. So I did the same. I worked for, well, pretty close to free for like a fair while for a person that's like one of the guys that we work with now, did the same, came and worked for us for free now, runs his own company. And I think when you do that, you get the experience, you know, like, you've got to pay and get experience somehow. Like, you don't always necessarily pay money, you can pay time. So if you do that, then it's like, it just sets you up and accelerates you into the future, I think, for sure. And then finally would probably always be learning. Like, I think it's very easy sometimes to get to the point where you're like, oh, cool, I've got stuff figured out. And I think that's just about to set you up for a bit of a fall. So as long as you always go, cool, I'm always be learning. Like, I spend too much, my accountant would say, on learning and development and education every year. But it's because it's like, you only need one thing from any one person to make it worth, you know, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, if you can execute upon it. If you go, wow, like, I just spent $5,000, went to an event, and this one person told me this, that's all you need to make that whole experience worthwhile.
That's beautiful. I love that you said that. And then to recap for you guys, one is connect with real people or like-minded people, right? There's a community out there for exactly what it is that you're doing. It doesn't matter if you have a brick and mortar business. It doesn't matter if you have an online business. It doesn't matter if you work for somebody else. Guaranteed there's a community out there, right? So associate yourself with people who are trying to go where it is that you want to go. You know, the saying goes, and I forget who said it, you know, you're the sum of the 5 people that you hang out with the most. Yeah. So hang out with the people that are going to where you want to go. The second, work for free, get experience, get case studies, get reps. When I first started, the same thing. My first 4 months, I was coaching men in groups, running them through a program, and it was all free. But the exact same thing that you said. 1, it allowed me to work out the kinks. 2, it gave me the reps that I needed. But 3, it gave me the case studies that I could now show other people, hey, look, here's the results from the work that I've done. And then the third one, always be learning. Always be learning. This is so important because at the moment that you think you know everything, you're done. You're completely done. And I talk about, actually, I haven't talked about this strategy, but as I'm creating this new, this new approach to everything I do, I was thinking, and really if you think about what people want, businessmen want, husbands want, fathers want, people who are struggling with their body, what do they want? They want a map. And what is a map actually? It's 3 things. It's mentoring, it's accountability, and then it's a plan. So if you think about how it was that you got to where you are today, Kim, which is so successful in the online marketing space, it's because 1, you had the mentoring, 2, you had the accountability, and then 3, you had the plan.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that, how those 3 pieces have helped you get to where you are today.
Well, I think the biggest one for me is always the plan part, because I'm very and I think it depends on the type of person to see what they would get the most out of that, because everyone will be different. For me, if I have a plan in front of me, if someone tells me specifically what to do, 10 minutes later, it's done. I've gone through it, I've done it. One of the biggest, probably the best attributes, sometimes the worst attribute as well, is that I will just not blindly, but I'll just execute on anything as soon as it's given to me, because if I'm told it's going to get me an outcome, I will do it. I will just get it done and I'll get it out of the way. But obviously without the mentoring, that won't happen. Versus I know some but that's in business. And in the personal world, when I look at my health and fitness and things like that, I definitely, the most important thing out of those 3 for me is then the accountability. Yeah. Whereas people, it's cool, Kim, are you at the gym today? Because sometimes, I'm busy, I work, I get up early. If I miss my morning gym session, at the end of the day, sometimes it's hard to get there. But when you've got people going, hey, we on, we're there, and it's they're there, I'm oh crap, I have to be there. They're going to be there, so I've got to be there. So on that side of things, that would be my most important. And then obviously the plan as well, because if you're training, you're doing nutrition, whatever it might be, you've got to have that as the backup too. So I think definitely depending on the area of life that I'm looking at, all 3 of those are so important and have definitely helped me get to where I am today.
That's beautiful. Thank you for that. And Kim hit the nail on the head, right? We've talked about these core 4 areas. We talk about your body. We talk about your relationship with God or higher power. We talk about your family, and ultimately we talk about your business. And really it's the same plan across the board. They apply to all areas. So if you're struggling right now as a businessman, look at your personal life and say, what is working here that I can translate over? Or if you're having success as a businessman, look and see what can you translate from that over to your personal life. They're all relatable.
Yeah.
The way that I was able to qualify for Boston, for instance, and running the marathon was not because I tried to do it on my own. It's because of those 3 things, right? I had a mentor, I had accountability, or a group that I was running with, and I had a very specific plan. So if you're struggling, it's okay. Take a time out, take a break, and get those things figured out. Kim, any final words of advice that you would like to give to the listeners?
The final thing I would say is always, and I've kind of it's been throughout this whole thing, is just if you want to get anywhere, someone's already done it. So get the help that you need to get there. I think sometimes if you're a businessman or whatever it may be, it's very easy for us to get an ego in the way or whatever you want to call it. And it's oh no, I can figure it out for myself. It's yes, you can, but it's going to cost you more. It's going to take you longer, and it's going to be much more painful. So why not just get help from people that have already done it? It doesn't mean that you're any less of a person. All it means is that you want to get there faster. So I highly recommend, as soon as you can, take advantage and get in front of people that are where you want to be, that can help you accelerate it, because it'll literally change your life.
Beautiful. And I cannot say it any better. If you are in this online space and you're looking to scale, to grow, or to get any words of advice, I would advise you to reach out to Kim. His site is yoursocialvoice.com.au. Yoursocialvoice.com.au. You can reach him there, and I'm pretty sure that he would be more than happy to have a conversation with you and see if he can help you. If not, you've already heard it. He will guide you to the right person to get what it is that you're after. Listen, if you're struggling with something, it's okay. You're not alone. Don't forget that. You can reach out to me as well. If you're looking or interested in some of the programs that we have to offer, you can go to garrettbake.com. We got some stuff there for you. But listen, at the end of the day, the only way that you're going to get what you want out of life is to do the work. There's no way around it. You can have the best mentor. You can have the best plan. You can have the greatest accountability group. But if you don't do the work, you're going to end up exactly where you are right now. So, Kim, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And I can't wait to have this thing out and about and share some of your successes with the world. So thank you again.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right. And all you listening out there, thank you for being here. As always, stay safe, and we'll see you on the next one.